Hello, everybody, and welcome to History Bite number 234, dated April 21st, 2021. I'm Walter, your mobile historian and blue-collar scholar. This History Bite is entitled President Kennedy's Supreme Court Appointments. John Fitzgerald Kennedy served as America's 35th president from January 20th, 1961 to November 22nd, 1963, the date of his tragic assassination in Dallas, Texas. Mr. Kennedy was America's first Roman Catholic president. Thankfully, he is no longer the only individual to hold that title. On January 20th, 2021, Joseph Biden became America's only second Catholic president. And as a Catholic, that means a great deal to me, all right? So in President Kennedy's 2 years, 10 months, and 2 days in the White House, he appointed 2 men to the Supreme Court of the United States, all right? Not bad for someone who was only president for 2 years, 10 months, and 2 days. He replaced the following men on the court. First, Justice Charles Whittaker, who had been appointed in 1957 by President Eisenhower, and then Justice Felix Frankfurter, who had been appointed to the court in 1939 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, all right? Indeed, President Kennedy's first chance at appointing a justice came with Justice Charles Whittaker's retirement in March of 1962, right? Whittaker, having been appointed to the court, soon developed a very terrible writer's block, which impeded his ability to complete his share of opinion writing. And if you understand anything about the inner workings of the Supreme Court, all hands on deck need to be fully functional. And even one weak link can slow down the whole operation. Whittaker realized this and thought it best to retire from the court so that the institution could continue to function and flourish. And in doing so, he gave President Kennedy his first chance at an appointment. Initially, President Kennedy considered 2 men for the vacancy. Judge William Hasty of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. Hasty was an African-American and had served on that court since 1949, having been appointed by President Truman, as well as Harvard Law professor Paul Freund, all right? Kennedy, really wanted Hasty for the position, and Attorney General Robert Kennedy, definitely supported the move because it would look good in the eyes of the international community for America to have an African-American in such a high government office. However, there was opposition to Hasty, primarily from Chief Justice Earl Warren and from others in Kennedy's administration, that Hasty was much too conservative to be on the Supreme Court. While he was a liberal when it came to civil rights in other areas, such as criminal procedure and other Bill of Rights issues, Hasty was not exactly who needed to be on the Supreme Court at the time, so to speak, according to Chief Justice Warren, all right? And Warren's word carried a lot of weight with Kennedy, and thus, ultimately Kennedy decided not to go forward with Hasty. And personally, Kennedy didn't really want Freund from Harvard because he was of the Harvard pedigree, and Kennedy felt he already had too many people of the Harvard pedigree in his administration. So ultimately, he didn't bother with Freund either and would nominate Deputy Attorney General Byron White, whom he had known for many years, to the position. Byron White had, been a very successful individual before joining the Kennedy administration, and President Kennedy certainly said that Byron White had succeeded in everything he had done, before now, and would certainly succeed as a justice, and nominated White to the court on April 3rd, 1962. His nomination drew very little opposition, but a notable question that was asked of him in his confirmation hearings was, what do you think the role of the Supreme Court is? To which White responded in one of his would-be very classic terse rebuttals, to decide cases. All right? Straight to the point. No fluff, no duff. All right? And White would be confirmed 8 days later on April 11th, 1962. All right? White thus became Kennedy's first Supreme Court appointment. He went on to serve on the court for the next 31 years until his retirement in 1993. All right, during his 31 years on the Supreme Court, he developed a reputation as a judicial moderate, okay, who was overwhelmingly on the left side, but certainly had conservative leanings in areas such as criminal procedure, as well as certain civil liberties as well. All right, remember, he was a former prosecutor, so that seems only natural. All right, but when it came to civil rights, Justice White was usually quite reliable to be on the correct side. All right, when he retired from the court in 1993, he was replaced by the legendary late great Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. All right, appointed by President Clinton in that year. President Kennedy's next chance at an appointment came the same year, with the retirement of Justice Felix Frankfurter in August of 1962. Frankfurter had suffered a stroke, which had unquestionably compromised his ability to continue to function as a justice, and so he submitted his retirement to President Kennedy in August of 1962. To fill this spot on the Supreme Court, Kennedy would nominate his Labor Secretary, Arthur Goldberg. Goldberg, before becoming Kennedy's Labor Secretary, had spent many years beforehand as a very prominent and powerful labor lawyer, okay? His reputation certainly preceded him, and he was more than qualified for a seat on the Supreme Court, all right? Goldberg, had done fine work as a labor lawyer, was a passionate voice for the people, all right? And he was nominated to the court in August of 1962 and confirmed a month later at the end of September 25th, 1962. Goldberg would serve on the court until July of 1965, when he was persuaded to resign by President Lyndon Johnson to become U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. All right. Now, Goldberg was succeeded on the court by Johnson friend and legal advisor Abe Fortas, who is discussed in several other videos with respect to Supreme Court appointments. All right. Now, during Goldberg's short time on the court, I call him a plant that was harvested too soon, as he had the potential to become one of the court's truly great justices. In his very brief time on the court, he had already, become a powerful voice for defendants' rights, as well as civil rights and labor rights. Goldberg was already pronounced and a very visionary and foresighted justice. Certainly, he had the potential to become a great like William J. Brennan Jr., with whom he served, as well as Chief Justice Earl Warren. But unfortunately, that potential was never tapped, all right, as he was essentially taken from the court by the, charm and flattery of President Lyndon Johnson, and then turned over to the United Nations, all right? So after Goldberg left, he was continued to serve as UN ambassador until the Nixon presidency, and then he ran for governor of New York, which he ultimately lost, and then returned to private practice. A prominent case he argued at the Supreme Court in late 1970s was Floyd versus Kern, which was commentated that was one of his worst arguments ever. His former colleagues, most of whom were still on the court at that point, were quite embarrassed, But c'est la vie, that's life. So, Goldberg died in 1990 at the age of 81, and Justice Byron White died in 2002 at the age of 85. All right. So during Goldberg's time on the court, he was an outspoken liberal, a champion for the people and for the rights of the accused. All right. So those are President John F. Kennedy's two Supreme Court appointments: Justice Byron White in April 1962, and Justice Arthur Goldberg in September 1962. White served until his retirement in 1993. Goldberg served until he resigned in 1965. All right. Those are President Kennedy's two appointments. All right. So if you have any questions or controversies, leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer them. If you liked this video and gained a thing or two, some insight from it, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And last but not least, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so now. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Just hit that little red subscribe button. It's totally free. We'll be in business and you will get updates when I post new videos. Thank you so much again for listening. You know, it gives me great pleasure to teach you all these things. Take care, stay safe out there, be blessed in all you do, and I'll talk to you at the next bite. Peace.